So there's a funny fact about us. When we are children, we live our life fully protected of external events. In this way, our happiness keeps growing regardless of any external event that could stain our mood. If something bad was to happen in the day, or if someone was rude to us, that would last for a couple of seconds, and our joyful day would keep going after that. And there comes the funny fact. The more we grow up, the bigger the impact of those random events have on our life. I have been experiencing this over the past years as I step by step get closer to a work life, where you meet new people, to a life where you do more things, and slowly start to discover the good aspects of your life, as well as the bad ones. Now compared to the 5-year-old happy and naive Sasha, those events that were happening anytime were starting to have a bigger picture in my life. This is when I first started to experience anxiety, anger, stress, and a lot more of negative feelings. As I was thinking that something was wrong with me, I started to Google everything about it, and how to avoid it. Depression, panic attacks, anxiety disorder were basically the results of my research. But I did not quite agree with any of those. I knew there was something wrong with me, but I also knew this was not it. So I decided to Google a way of fighting those overthinking and overwhelming situations, and I found it. This, my friends, is Stoicism. Stoicism is an old philosophy. It started back in ancient Greece and Rome in the early parts of the 3rd century before Christ. And to make it simple and to not dive too deeply into the history and the main characters of Stoicism, let's say that this philosophy aims to maximize positive feelings and to reduce negative ones. There are 4 main ideas that contribute to what we now call Stoicism, and these are the 4 virtues. Number 1, temperance. The more common and simple way to call this first virtue would be self-control. Temperance is also a synonym of moderation in any of its form. This historic virtue is something widely spread among other cultures and around the world. And it is all about knowing how to appreciate and do things in the right amount, not too much nor too little. When it comes to our society, we live in a world of consumption and of endless extremes. We see those fast foods where you can eat ridiculously huge amount of food, and we see those shops where you can buy an enormous amount of things for only a couple of bucks, and the same goes on for basically everything else. What Stoicism reminds us is that everyone should be living in this middle ground side, doing everything in the right way as well as in the right amount. Number 2, courage. Now, the second virtue of Stoicism is almost the most important one for me, probably because it resonates the most with my actual life. Courage nowadays probably has a very different definition than it did when Stoicism was developing. They would consider brave people as brave warriors who would fight their life for their country, go to war, and save their honor. If I would talk about courage right now, I would base my definition of very different things. Being brave in the 21st century for me means to be able to face challenges, to not run from difficulties, and to learn how to manage difficult situations when you go through tough or uncommon ones. Number 3, justice. Now, this third virtue of Stoicism is all about acceptance and a strong belief in human being and how good they can still become. The Stoics believed in social equality, and in a world that is known to be not perfect, but for which they are willing to fight through their temperance and courage to bring this word into reality. Number 4, wisdom. The fourth and last virtue of Stoicism is the key to the 3 first ones. Wisdom basically means knowledge. The Stoics believed in the knowledge of knowing what's good and not good, what needs to be done, and what should be avoided. I find wisdom the hardest virtue to master, but probably the most impactful one for your own life. Now, this is the very theoretical part of Stoicism, and the practical one is extremely different. It is great to keep in mind those 4 virtues, but I still do struggle a lot sometimes to manage my emotions, and especially with justice. I generally am a very alert person, those who are called hot-blooded, and for whom a very little tiny thing can build up a lot of anxiety or anger very quickly. Now, of course, philosophy is something that takes years to master, but believe me, when I started Stoicism and at the beginning, something stressful, scary, or full of anxiety was happening, regardless of my mind trying to tell me that the Stoics know how to manage Stoics don't stress and everything related to Stoicism, well, that couldn't help. And I would still stress a lot. And the more I would learn about Stoicism, the more I would learn about two very important principles that really helped me manage my emotions. The first one is called Amor Fati, which basically is the love of fate and the love of our destiny. And this concept of Stoicism aims to switch your mindset from it did not happen to you, but it happened for you. The love of our destiny is to think that everything that happens to us is a great way to become a better person. Well, at least this is the Stoics' mindset. There is this book, written by probably the best Stoic practitioner of the 21st century, Ryan Holiday, called The Obstacle is the Way, where Ryan shares his thoughts on how we as humans tend to see every event that happens in our life. First of all, in our human condition, we tend to walk away from difficulties, from these obstacles, while in the Stoic practice, we face them. We try and go through them and take that opportunity to become a better person. In The Obstacle is the Way, it is also said that we tend to suffer more from our imagination than the reality. And this resonates with me a lot. In the society where we are living today, overthinking has become a widely spread problem. You know this feeling when you're first starting dating this girl you liked, and on your way home you start to overthink every single thing you could have done, said, or simply on how she may not like you enough. Or how we torture our mind thinking about if we locked the front door, or if we turned off the gas in our place. All of this is pure suffering from the imagination. So applying Stoicism in your life can start by wiping off your day those moments where you overthink probably for no reason, and to realize that the reality isn't as scary as we think it is. I found that managing our emotion and imagination shows the mastery of the two main virtues for me, which are self-control and wisdom. Another concept of Stoicism that I love is called Momento Mori. Now, while some people might see it as a very morbid thing, I see it as a very powerful reminder. It basically means remember that you will die. And it is true that it can sound weird if you drop it like this without any explanation, but this is how I see it. Momento Mori is a powerful reminder that we will die one day or another. It is therefore very inspiring and motivating to act for your own life, and to make the best out of each day, month, or year. I recently dropped a video about how I felt at my habits during this summer, and I could have included this concept when it comes to how I got back to it, because now whenever I feel lazy to work out, write down a script, or to shoot a video, I remind myself of the Momento Mori and the fact that I have to accomplish great things before leaving this world. Now maybe you do not have to tell yourself every single day that you are going to die, because that could have some serious consequences on your mental health. But the key here is simply to remember that whenever you go to bed each day, you think about your day and think about the fact that you made the most out of it, and that if you were to be gone tomorrow, it would be without any regrets. All of this built the foundation of Stoicism. The Stoics are thousands of years old, and the funny fact here is that their mindsets, virtues, and principles still resonate with people thousands of years later. Stoicism is a philosophy that takes years to practice and master, but as more and more people are starting to realize the danger of the society we live in, with those immediate pleasure and this lack of self-control, the more they learn more about practices such as Stoicism. I hope you found something interesting in this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll meet you in the next one. Bye!